Hey guys, it's Vicky, and today I'm here to share with you my favorite books of 2018. I had a really good reading year. I broke my personal record for books read, but I'm going to talk about that later, like in my goals video that I'm going to do. But I picked 6 books that I thought deserved to be mentioned again here at the end of the year. Not necessarily 5-star reads, but ones that have just kind of stuck with me, and I kind of categorized them just to kind of make it more, I don't know, more fun. So let's go ahead and get into it. So my first 2018 favorite is my favorite horror novel of 2018, and this should come as no surprise to those of you that have been around my channel for a little while, but this year's favorite horror read was definitely Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. I adored this book. Gave me total, like, It vibes, Stranger Things vibes. It has one of my favorite tropes in it, which is a group of kids fighting evil. I loved that Dan Simmons took the time to build up the tension, build up the fear, and to introduce you to the characters and really get you invested in the characters, because sometimes horror kind of lacks in that, I think. But this definitely was very character focused, and I loved it. I loved that it took place in 1960. And there is a twist in this book at about the halfway point that just had my jaw on the floor. I could not believe it happened. It was quite distressing, and yeah, loved this book. My next 2018 favorite is my favorite YA/middle grade book. I didn't read a ton of that this year, but I really just wanted to mention this one really quickly. Oh, hi, Nimmy. Sorry. We're dog sitting for my sister-in-law, and she just wanted to come over here really quickly. Okay, so anyways, so my favorite YA/middle grade book this year was Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. I've been wanting to read this book for quite a while, so yeah, really glad that I finally read this. I'm still working my way through the entire series, but I just adore Anne Shirley. I think that she's so, just her positivity, her imagination, just her passion for life is just really inspiring, and I just really loved her story. And I also love Marilla, because Marilla to me is just one of those kind of, she had a lot of great, like, one-liners, a lot of sassiness, but she also has a lot of heart. Yeah, great characters, great story, great setting. Prince Edward Island, these books have me wanting to go there and visit, so yes, loved this. Next up is my favorite thriller of 2018. I read quite a few thrillers this year, but my favorite one was Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. This was not a 5-star read for me, but it just stuck out to me as, like, the standout thriller that I read. I think the reason was because I thought that the book did such a good job of playing into my claustrophobia, in that the character that you are hearing from is in a coma, and so she cannot see, she cannot move, she can only hear what's going on around her, and to me that is absolutely terrifying. And I just loved the back and forth. There was, I think, 2 or 3 different like, time periods it was jumping between. Really enjoyed that, and the twist, didn't see it coming. It was a shocker to me, and I loved it. It was, for me, this thriller was a lot darker than some of the other ones that I read, and I think that's why it stuck out to me, and is one that I would definitely recommend to anyone looking for a good thriller to read. Next up is my favorite classic of 2018, and again, this should come as no surprise to anyone. Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. I am so glad I read this, you guys. It was worth it. It took me a couple of months, and it's about 1,000 pages long, but it was so worth it. This story is so engrossing. And I was worried about that going in, because it is a Civil War epic, so I wasn't sure if I would really get along with that time period, but I loved it, and it actually has me wanting to read more books that took place during the Civil War. Great characters, great story, so good, so good. Do not let the length of this book intimidate you. If you want to read Gone with the Wind, pick it up and read it. It is so worth it. Next up is another one that is not going to come as any surprise to anybody, but my favorite nonfiction book of 2018 was definitely, by far, Educated by Tara Westover. I want to get this book. I want to own this book because I want to read it again, because I loved it so much. It's a memoir. I thought that Tara's story was just so interesting and just so crazy. And it was written so well. She was the writing was what really grabbed me, what really surprised me. She was a very talented writer, and I really just felt for her in this story. It was just so eye-opening to me because it was, her upbringing was like nothing like mine. You know, there was nothing about it that I really could necessarily relate to, but I just could not stop reading it. From chapter 1, I was hooked. I just loved it. Highly recommend. Go read Educated. And my last favorite that I want to talk about is my favorite graphic novel of 2018. I read, I don't know, like maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 graphic novels. I don't really remember. But this one stuck out. This one was awesome. That one is Wraith by Joe Hill and Charles Paul Wilson III. This is a tie-in to Nosferatu by Joe Hill, which is one of my all-time favorite horror novels, so I knew I was going to love this going in. I thought that this book, though, was just a great addition to that story. You learned a lot more about Charlie Manx, the villain of Nosferatu. You got to revisit Christmas Land, which is, to me, one of the most terrifying places on, well, it's not really on Earth, just one of the most terrifying places ever. I loved revisiting that, and I loved the art style in this. It was great. The color palette gave you creepy vibes. Just, this was a great book. I would say, though, do not read this until you have read Nosferatu, because they go hand in hand, but you really do need to read Nosferatu first. So, yes, if you've read Nosferatu, go read this. Alright guys, so those are my favorite books of 2018. Like I said, I had a really great year, and despite reading a lot of books, I didn't really have a super hard time picking my favorites, because when you know, you know, you know? So let me know down below what your favorite reads were this year, because I would love to hear everyone gush about their favorite books that they read. I love it because it gives me some new ideas, and if it's a book I've read too, then we can talk about it together. So other than that though, guys, I hope that you're having a great week and that the end of 2018 is turning out well for you, and I will talk to you very soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.